Oh yes, we're going to be putting our, well, I don't know what to say, where our money where our mouth is. Well, it's our mouth where Nigeria's money is right now, because we're going to be talking about the 2020 Finance Act and what we're doing right and what we're not doing, or we're doing wrong, so to speak, or the positives of that particular Finance Act. And joining me this morning to speak on it, we have with us Honorable Oghene Egoh, who is a member representing, I'm trying to remember your constituency. Oghene, yes.
Yeah. Egoh State.
And you're also a member of Egoh Parliament, that's right?
I am.
You're welcome to Sunrise Study this morning.
Thank you.
It's very easy to get carried away with the papers, you know, the interesting things on the front pages. We're talking about the papers. Only yesterday, we saw the story that the federal government plans to lift 2 million Nigerians out of poverty in 2 years. And, you know, people were saying, how is that going to happen? We also saw, as we highlighted that story, that they were going to start the payment of 5,000 naira to vulnerable Nigerians. What are your thoughts on the 2020 Finance Act as passed and how it's going to be implemented? We do know that there are some bright spots to that particular story, but on the whole, when you look at it, do you think that it has the capacity to lift Nigerians out of poverty?
Adapt. As a member of the National Assembly, I'm part of government. So whatever government does, of course, we can say we are part of it. But sometimes you may not have the ability to change some of the things that the executive arm of government is doing. Giving 5,000 naira to Nigerians, well, it shows an intention of government that they are interested in their welfare, but it's meaningless. It's meaningless. I think what government need to do should be in the area of creating jobs, and this is where the Finance Act has failed, you know, woefully. And I'm talking particularly about the auto policy of the government, where the Finance Act has now brought a policy that is going to lead to sack of thousands of workers who are working in the car assembly plants, who are involved in local production of cars. And when that happens, thousands of workers are being sacked. When that happens, where are you going to create the 2 million jobs?
I'm wondering, you know, that's been a major downside that you know, analysts have pointed out. Didn't members of the National Assembly see that particular potential error before they passed it? Yeah,
you know, there are certain things that are in the hands of the executive. There are certain things that are in the hands of the National Assembly members. So the things that are in the hands of the executive is very difficult, you know, to do. For instance, FEC met and gave that approval. Just like FEC has just met to say salaries of, teachers' age is that going to be 65 years. That did not come to the National Assembly. Of course, well, okay, it passed through it at a time, but now that it's brought into reality, you know, it didn't go through the National Assembly immediately. So what I'm saying is that...
so you can still upturn it?
Well, but it takes a long time. You have to go move a motion, later on bring out a bill. The bill have to go through both chambers. And then, of course, it must go for the assent of the president. And if the president does not give assent to it, what do? Maybe a veto, you vote to override the president's veto. But can you get the figures to override this veto? Because we would not be looking for 2/3 of majority. And National Assembly, the way it's structured right now, is very difficult to get it, because Northwest alone, the membership in the House of Rep is enormous. So what I'm trying to say is that if you want to create jobs, then you must support local industries. If you want to create jobs, there must be no policy somersault. Because what is happening now is that about 7 years ago or 8 years ago, government decided that they need to employ more Nigerians. And they looked at the entire economy, where is the easiest way to do it? You know, and also to create technology to uplift the country. They looked at the auto industry. And then government brought out an auto industry. This policy is supposed to encourage vehicle manufacturers to manufacture cars locally, start with assembly and manufacturing to some extent. And in order for the vehicles to be able to sell, because of popularity of Nigeria, first of all, electricity, you have to generate your own electricity, your water, and a host of other things. So cost of manufacturing in Nigeria is more expensive than abroad. And you find out that countries abroad, because they are aggressive about exporting, they do dumping. They give a lot of incentives to their countries abroad to manufacture. So as a result, by the time the vehicles arrive in Nigeria, they're cheaper than made in Nigeria. So government decided to increase the tariff on imported vehicles to 35%. So that imported vehicles will be more expensive than manufactured vehicles generally in Nigeria. And the what magic? 44 companies indicated interest in manufacturing cars in Nigeria. Some are foreign companies who have come here before, some are on ground. And they actually actualize it. You can see Nord is manufacturing vehicles now in Ogun State. Innocent is manufacturing vehicles in the Egoh and Egoh. You have Kokaris manufacturing Ford vehicles in Lagos. You have Peugeot. Recently, some foreigners invested $150 million. If you calculate that, that runs to over 50 billion naira into Peugeot automobile manufacturing in Kaduna and in Kano, the assembly vehicles. Now, all these plants are going to close up. With thousands of workers they have employed will be laid off. Why? Because government have now removed the incentive for them to manufacture locally. And the incentive was 35% duty on imported vehicles, which made locally manufactured vehicle much more cheaper. So as a result, the plants were making money and they were improving gradually. And now that this has been removed, what happens? The plants will close down, and guess what? Over 364 billion naira was borrowed by these vehicle plants, which they plow into the local manufacturing. So as a result, when they close up, they will not be able to pay their loan, and if they are not able to pay their loan, the banks are in trouble. You know, and then unemployment will continue. So what I'm saying is that government is saying you want to create 2 million jobs, but they are not serious about it.
They want to create 2 million jobs. Yes. They say they want to lift 2 million people out of poverty.
Out of poverty, yes. How do you lift them? Out of poverty. Is central bank going to be doing money to them? No.
We don't know what the full plan is yet.
But what I'm saying, for instance, these local assembly plants. But we have to
say it how they have said it.
Yes. These local assembly plants, for instance, central bank gave, low interest rate loans to them. What? Several billions of naira to support them. And these are taxpayers' money. All that is gone. Don't forget that when we had an auto plan before,
all that could potentially go. I mean, it hasn't gone, has it?
Oh, it will potentially go. It's on the way to going. Because the vehicle manufacturing plants are complaining. And some people are writing that, Nigerians are rejoicing that duty have been reduced on imported vehicles. Imported vehicles will not be cheaper. To hell, imported vehicles only employ people abroad. They don't give employment to our people. They don't help Nigerian economy. Whereas manufactured vehicles help us. The banks are happy, giving loan, insurance companies are happy, providing insurance. People locally, people are employed. Their raw materials are sourced locally. These are what can create jobs. These are what can create jobs. So if you want to leave 2 million people out, you must think about what can create jobs. Let me tell you one thing, both of us come from an agri division. You remember there was Volkswagen that... I
was just about to remind you that there's Volks, the famous Volks.
Yeah, that was manufacturing there. Yes. But what set it up, they were doing well. And it's the same thing that happened. Volkswagen, Peugeot, Mercedes, and Marco, CI, Econo, all of them, Cell was in the Bauchi, they were manufacturing. There was one in Ibadan, they were doing well. Suddenly, government reduced the duty on imported vehicles and increased tariffs on locally manufactured. All of them went under, And then a company like Volkswagen in 1984 decided to go to China. Today, the Chinese gave them enough incentive. They are manufacturing cars and exporting from China.
I'm wondering, government, I don't think the government will just wake up and say they want to kill the local auto industry. What sort of thinking informs that sort of policy?
Yeah, for what we read, when FEC approved the 35% duty removal, they said because of COVID, things are expensive. If they lift the 35% duty on the imported vehicles, that it will make vehicles cheaper for people to buy. Probably cheaper for people to buy, but is it employing Nigerians? It's not. I'm coming back, but let me also tell you on that.
Sorry, I will have to let you finish your thoughts when we come back from this break.
Yes.
Please don't go away.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Honorable Oghene Egoh, member of Egoh's Parliament, former member House Committee on Local Content, is still with us in our Abuja studios. And we're talking about the 2020 Finance Act, the pros and cons. So far, so good. You mentioned one major con. However, I mean, and this is still, some people will say, largely your analysis of it. I don't know if there's a positive to that particular one, but some people will point to the fact that there are many positives in this 2020 Finance Act. Do you see any within the Act that has the potential to, say, counteract whatever cons we could experience as a result of the negative effect of this auto policy?
Well, there are some positives in the Act, no doubt. For instance, good money allocated for railways, roads, houses, and other things. The government have done very well by those policies. But when you do that, and then you have not looked at areas of employment, it's terrible. I'm aware that it's 774 jobs.
774,000
jobs. Yeah, it's a good thing. People will be paid 20,000 for 3 months. It's good. The common man will be happy about it.
Are they able to reach a compromise now? Because there were loggerheads were members of the National
I don't want to go into that. Because I've nominated people from my constituency, 81 names. None of them have come out. And if you are picking people in the constituency and the House of Representatives representing the constituency, you don't take into cognizance and you say all the people you are going to pick, you are going to road transport workers, market people, and that kind of thing. And then we wonder who are part of my constituency. The road transport workers are part of my constituency. The market women are part of my constituency. The church goers are part of my constituency. The bus goers are part of my constituency. So if you don't consult us and you just pick it, then we wonder where you picked it from. But I don't really want to go into that. I'm saying that for an economy like Nigeria right now, the most important thing should be creation of jobs. Look at what happened at SARS. Thousands of youths came to the road. All of it is because of unemployment. If there are jobs, you won't leave your job and stay for 2 weeks, in one particular place protesting. The biggest problem Nigeria has right now is problem of unemployment. And the act did not go far enough, even though they did a lot of good things. But it did not go far enough. And that's what I'm saying, that auto industry has a way of creating thousands of jobs. If you look at America, when they had that economic policy when Obama just came in, $50 billion he allocated to the Michigan auto manufacturing plant. And then he was able to revive the auto manufacturing industry of America. Even Trump, who a lot of people are criticizing, he says America first, America first. But in Nigeria, we're not saying Nigeria first. Look at Michelin, look at Dunlop. They were manufacturing in Nigeria. But what happened? Nigeria decided to reduce duty on fully imported tires. And then increase tariffs on locally manufactured tires. Michelin and Dunlop packed away. They are in Ghana. Today we are importing tires from Ghana.
Maybe the emphasis, and this is me just trying to wonder what could have informed the policy. Maybe the emphasis right now is on agriculture, because if you look at the Act, there is a reduction of tariff for those who are bringing in tractors and things of the sort, and also pioneer status being granted to those who are going to be going into agriculture for up to 6 years.
Good. It's good. You are doing that. You are doing palliative for only 6 years, right? Now, if people invest heavily in agriculture, and you show, for instance, government place a ban on imported rice, which is a very good policy. The price may go up, but it will be for a while. But Nigerians who go into farming will make money and create employment for the people. But when you bring such a policy, there should be consistency. It is like after 2 years, you now leave ban on the importation of rice. Then all those who have invested into the rice manufacturing industry, they are doomed. That's what is happening in this auto industry. Government brought up a policy and people started investing money that has created a lot of employment. What do you want industry motor to do, for instance? What do you want Cascades motor to do, for instance? The people who brought in $150 billion for Peugeot in Kaduna, what do you want them to do? So what I'm trying to say is that this type of policy should be sustained. But the situation where a government comes in, you do a policy that will create employment or make the economy better, and that government comes in and you just change it.
Yes, it is important that members of the National Assembly complain, but some people will say that your powers are more than that of complaining, like every other Nigerian. You have the powers to do something about it. Yes, they are on recess right now. The National Assembly is on recess. Yeah. Is it one of the things that you intend to look at?
I have a motion on it already. I have a motion on it already.
You think a motion will be far-reaching enough?
Well, yeah, because if you say you want to amend it, it's going to take a long time. Because first of all, you will have first reading, second reading, third reading. When you finish for House of Rep, it goes to Senate. They will do that. You pass it to the presidency. The same presidency that have destroyed the Auto Manufacturing Act, it goes to them.
What about an invitation to understand the rationale behind it?
No, obviously, in my motion, I've talked about a public hearing. It is here. So if the motion goes through, of course, and then there's a public hearing, then we can invite government and other stakeholders. But there's need to let those in government know, I'm the government. There's need to let them know that policy inconsistency is not good for this country. If you make a policy that make people to bring billions to invest, borrowed money to invest, and then even before they realize the policy benefit, you change it. Are you going to reform the people's money? Who shows that next time if government says, oh, we are favoring this industry, put in money, people will say, why do we need to? After when you brought the auto industry less than 6 years, you change it. All the vehicle manufacturing plants are now in limbo. Most of them are threatening to sack all their workers. You cannot blame them because there will be no market for them. They will not be able to sell. How do you reduce the duty on the imported vehicle from 35 to 5%? Now, that 30% difference revenue government was getting before, which are supposed to use to tar roads, to do a lot of infrastructure. Where are you going to realize it from? Meanwhile, price of oil is only rising briefly, but it's very low. And the amount of oil we are manufacturing that OPEC have allocated to us is not much. That's the only thing you are getting the foreign for. So the duty you are supposed to get for vehicle, you reduce from 35 to 5%. That heavy money you were getting before that, custom was now remitting to the federation account. Where are you going to get it from? So a lot of our policies are not taught, they are half-baked. Somebody just comes, and then maybe somebody comes to lobby, somebody government, and then before you know, you change the policy. Look at...
Before you go on, let me quickly bring in my colleague, Egoh.
Well, thank you, Malpe. Honorable, my question is about what you talked about concerning employment. Well, yeah, I mean, we know from data that the automotive industry is a very huge direct and indirect employment generator. But then there is also the agricultural sector. Now, when you look at it, it would seem like from data available from MBS, World Bank, and the rest of them, the oil and gas sector puts a lot of money into the hands of the federal government and the state governments. But the agricultural sector puts money directly into the hands of the people because according to the World Bank, the biggest employer of labor in Nigeria is agriculture. As an honorable member of the House, who has constituents that you represent. At the point of passing these laws, isn't there a thing that you could have done to say, okay, the number of people in my constituency that need employment would benefit more from policies or laws in the budget or whatever that will give them direct jobs, like in agriculture, services, as opposed to, and the rest of them, as opposed to the oil and gas, which we always pay so much attention to?
Yes, okay.
Please go ahead.
Is it okay? Yeah, of course, I agree with you entirely. You know, I'm one of those who supported the agricultural policy of the government. Today, that's why I talked about the ban on the importation of rice. You know, a lot of people say, oh, the price of rice is up. But we supported it because we enable more people to go into it. But it should not be only rice. We should go the whole gamut of agricultural manufacturing. You know, we need to encourage people. That's why in recent times I've been talking more of fish production. Because when you do that, then of course the price of fish will come down. Government needs to invest more in all those areas of agriculture. Now, talking about agricultural equipment, tractors that you need for manufacturing. If you increase the duty on imported tractors, you will be encouraging local manufacturers to manufacture tractor, which is already been done. Some companies in Kano, Innocent Motors are already doing that, you know. But by the time you reduce the duty by 35% on imported tractors, then you are saying that forever we have to be importing these tractors. But we can kill also with one bird by encouraging local production of tractors, and the capacity is here. Look at NOT that is manufacturing vehicles in Ogun State, for instance. Nobody knew that such a company was here. Before you know, they are rolling out vehicles. So the technology and the capacity is here to do it. It's only government policy that can help. Agriculture, yes, we need to invest more in agriculture. But also, in investing in agriculture, let's look at the whole country. Let's look at rubber, for instance. Rubber used to be the biggest money earner for the Niger Delta area. Today, government does not talk about rubber production. Nobody. You know, because Michelin and Dunlop that used to use rubber here have gone. But we now, countries like Ivory Coast, one of their biggest money earner apart from cocoa is rubber. You know, and then cocoa manufacturing too, the emphasis on it is not enough. Government needs to emphasize more. So I must say that at the level of National Assembly, we have supported this. But don't forget that it takes two to tango. You have the National Assembly there who are the lawmakers, and then of course you have the executive arm of government who are the implementers and who are the policy makers actually. So what I'm saying is that we need to bring it to the notice of the executive arm of government. You know, we have 365 members in the house. Sometimes you may have a view, you are raising your hand. You may not be lucky for the speaker to pick you, even though the speaker likes to make sure everybody talks. But 365 members, you know, you may have a view on the particular thing, you are not able to, your voice is not heard, and then there's a voting, and the thing goes. You know, I feel that we must bring it to the public knowledge.
All right, let me bring in this one. Just a moment, Honorable. You know, when that matter was raised at the Economic Summit, what the VP said, and which is published everywhere, is that he says the logic behind that is that the demand, the annual demand for vehicles in the country currently stands at about 720,000 against the actual local production by the available assembly plants, which stands at about 14,000 in the country. And he says that at the moment, what that will mean is that there'll be higher prices of vehicles and greater stress on other sectors of the economy that depend on transportation at a time of national economic emergency, especially with rising food prices and transportation costs.
Good. Anyway, let me say that logic of the vice president is very faulty. Very faulty. If you say local production is only 14 billion, 40,000, what have you done to improve local production? Like in America, the auto industry failed. And then they put $15 billion immediately into it. After that, more money was put into it. What I'm trying to say is that if the vice president realized that, the emphasis should have been, how do we prove the capacity of Indose, capacity of Coscaris, capacity of Shell Motors, capacity of Peugeot. Yeah, that's what we are supposed. They never did that.
But the capacity will not be upped overnight, will it? I mean, it's 720,000 to 14,000. You know, is definitely a wide gap. Even if you up capacity, say you're able to do 100,000, for instance, between 100,000 and 720,000 is still a huge gap.
Good. So what has happened now is government have now lifted the policy. Look at the level from 35% to 5%. So what they want to do now, first kill the local industry. After you have killed it completely.
What do you make of those?
I'm coming.
What do you make of those who say that largely a lot of Nigerians buy second-hand vehicles, and you know maybe there should have been some differentiation there? What do you say?
Yeah, on the issue of second-hand vehicles, you see, it's all boiled down. Now, the value of second-hand vehicles, of course, I buy second-hand vehicle. I don't have any brand new vehicle. It's second-hand vehicle because I can't afford the new one.
Even as a member of the House of
Reps? Of course. You know?
No, what I'm saying is even the House of Reps didn't give you a brand new vehicle.
Well, the House of Reps gave. That is the only brand new vehicle I have. But for my family use, it's a second-hand vehicle that I buy because I can't afford one. But with this auto industry, if you Google Indose, if you Google Hyundai, some of the vehicles they are making now, the prices are even as low as that of second-hand vehicle. They're as low as that of second-hand vehicle. So what I'm saying is that a logic that says because the number of vehicle manufactured locally is not enough to meet demand, therefore let us first kill the local industry first. After you kill it, then how are the local industry going to be able to manufacture one day to meet the local demand? Countries all over the world have faced this problem, and what they have done is to overpower the local industry, right? Ban importation. China did that, ban importation of imported vehicles for many years.
But you are aware of the potential it could have on inflation, the potential it could have on overpricing.
It will be only for a short while. It will only be for a short while, and the problem will be solved. Because today, thousands of children are graduated from universities, reading engineering. When they come back, there are no jobs to do. And then what excuse you give them? You tell them that, look, we cannot manufacture because we are not manufacturing enough.
All right, let me jump in and put this across.
Let's kill the local industry first. And
in addition to what he said, in fact, let me quote part of the statement as well. He says, quote, "We are not giving up on the auto industry. There are still 40% duty on all imported cars, apart from a policy that allows the government to buy only locally manufactured cars." What do you say to that?
Well, that aspect of the 40% duty on imported cars, I'm not getting well, but all I know is that the duty on imported cars have been reduced by 30%, right? If government says we are not giving up on local industry, you are only saying it with mouth. The vice president is only saying it with mouth. There's no action following it. Look, in the 8th Assembly, there was a committee where we looked at the auto industry, and we went around the country. You'll be amazed the amount of money invested. And the people will tell you that if government sticks to their policy of buying only made in Nigeria vehicles, they can double their production. So when you say good enough, I praise the president. President Buhari have said where you have alternative products that are manufactured in Nigeria, we must give preference to those ones first. But the policy is not working.
No, but you say
government
will also include you, of course, members of the House.
Yes, of course.
But we understand that there was a protest by members of the House that they didn't want made in Nigeria vehicles.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure of that. As far as I'm concerned, we, the House of Reps, should buy only made in Nigeria vehicles.
You didn't buy made in Nigeria vehicles this last time, did you?
Well, I'm not part of those who are in charge of procuring these vehicles. But what I'm trying to say is, go around everywhere. All the government parastatals, all the jeeps they are using, you won't see anybody using those jeep. All the government parastatals.
That's not true.
I'm coming.
I've seen a few.
No, all those parastatals that just bought vehicle. Go and find out. Are they using those jeep?
Whose job is it to ensure that they are using, they are using locally made vehicles? Even though, as I said, I have seen a few. I mean, there are some arms of government where you see...
Of course, like the police and the road...
safety.
But I'm talking about the higher level of it. What I'm saying...
The higher level, that's...
like the jeeps, for instance.
The directors, the ministers...
Of course. They should be made to buy this vehicle. In fact, government... The executive arm of government should also sit with the House of Rep and say, look, from now onwards, it should be only locally manufactured vehicles. It helps our children. All of us will have children in university. And when they come out, they don't have jobs. What have we done? And that is why we must encourage locally manufactured things. Before, we used to manufacture batteries in the country. Manufacture tires. We manufacture even wipers, car wipers. All this we don't have. All these are important. So government must go the whole hog. That is what I'm saying. I'm not really out criticizing government, but I'm saying government policies are bad. In the past, I used to hear talks like, if government are consistent with their policy, this country will develop. Now I know it from this policy that we are saying now. How can you encourage people to invest billions into the auto industry, and then suddenly all you do, you say, the one that manufacture is not enough. Instead of you to sit with them and say, what can we do for you to be able to manufacture more? If you are manufacturing only 14, okay, let's jumpstart it. Okay, look at rice. The rice they are producing locally, it's not enough. But yet, they ban the importation of rice.
You have heard Nigerians complain severally.
People will complain.
Bitterly about the price of rice in the market.
Yeah, I'm facing it too. But the end result is what matters. If assuming in the next 5 years, we are now able to produce enough rice in the country, that will help us.
Rice is different from cattle.
No. It's the same thing, because the ban on importation of rice is done for us to be able to produce locally, to create employment. The bottom limit is employment. That is it. When you are talking about the auto industry, it is also to create employment. Look at, you have hundreds of thousands of motorcycles being imported into this country every day. We are not manufacturing motorcycles here. It's a shame. It's a shame. And when a policy comes that we're able to manufacture motorcycles, you say, they are not making enough. Then at the end of the day, the little foreign exchange we have, you keep sending it abroad to pay for foreign things. And that's why you see the dollar is 430 naira. The dollar has completely crashed. And we don't have enough.
Considering how pained you are about this auto policy, what changes would you like to see?
The changes I'd like to see is that everything about auto, motorcycle, cars, tractors, all, the duty should be at least 50% higher than the cost of locally manufactured. And the government should get CBN. Give loans to these local industries. Encourage them. The local industry may be a Nigerian. It may even be an Indian. It may be a Chinese. It may be any foreigner coming to manufacture 100% here. After a lot of Japanese cars, Peugeot, Toyota, are manufactured in America. It's creating employment for the American people. The American government said, look, you cannot export your vehicles to America more than a certain number. If you want to export, if you want your vehicles to be come and manufacture in America. So today, Peugeot, all of them, even Honda from South Korea, is manufactured in America. That's how it should be. America first, Nigeria first. So what I'm saying, the change I would like to see is government to reverse back the policy, and government to encourage local manufacturing of batteries, of car tires. What is wrong if government goes to Michelin, Dunlop, Firestone, and the countries that manufacture tires? I say, please come back. We are sorry, we wronged you the first time. What do you want? Then give them incentive. Let them come back. Is it sensible for us to be importing tires from China, whereas China does not even have rubber. You know, we are getting China to report rubber from Nigeria. Rubber from Nigeria, and then we report this latex. You know, all this is that they use for operation, everything. We are importing them from abroad, whereas they don't have rubber. Oh. So the result is that it's like lights out for Nigeria. The economy will die at the rate we are going. In another 50 years, we'll be worse than where we were. In 1962, Nigeria and South Korea were the same level of manufacturing. Look at South Korea. Palm oil was taken from Malaysia, from Nigeria. The money Malaysia is making from export of Philip palm oil is almost more than the money we are making from export of crude oil. Of crude oil. Well, it's a shame. All this we're taking from Nigeria. So what I'm saying is that for this country to make progress, for us to be able to create employment for the youth. Look, all of our friends are satellite everywhere in my constituency. People are unemployed. There are no jobs. But government can bring out policies that can create jobs for these people. And it is sad. How can one sustain the people calling you every day, please help us, we need money for rent, we need money for school. I mean, it's a shame.
Honorable, we have to end it here. It was supposed to be a larger conversation on the finance bill for 2020, finance act now of 2020. But it ended up being
more for employment, because employment generation is the most important thing.
And auto policy, the auto policy of government, and you sound very pained by what you've seen in that particular, what was passed. Well, we have to thank you for sharing your thoughts very candidly. Honorable Oghene Egoh is a member of Ecowas Parliament and also former member House Committee on Local Content, and he's been speaking to us here in our Abuja studios. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you.